Hello, and thank you for tuning in to our international news broadcast. Right now, let's review the top stories currently capturing global attention.
Fact number 1. The losses of the Russian army on the battlefield far exceeded the number of newly enlisted soldiers. Event number 2. The Kremlin believes that the U.S. decision on Russian oil helps stabilize the market. Event number 3. Russian court sentenced 19 people involved in a bloody concert hall shooting.
And now, for the details.
Casualties among Russian invading forces have exceeded the rate of new recruits for 3 consecutive months, said Alexander Syrskyi, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on March 13th. Syrskyi made the remarks following talks in Ukraine with Micael Bydén, Sweden's top military commander. Biden was in Ukraine to discuss defense cooperation and continued military support for the country's resistance. In a message posted on Facebook, Syrskyi said Moscow continues to press its offensive operations despite the heavy losses its forces are suffering. According to him, for the past 3 months, Russian battlefield losses have outpaced the number of soldiers brought in as replacements. The exact number of casualties for either side remains unclear. However, an investigation by BBC Russian, together with the research project Mediazona, has identified at least 180 Russian soldiers killed in action in Ukraine as of February 25th. During the meeting, Syrskyi also updated the Swedish commander on the situation along the approximately 750-mile front line and outlined Ukraine's requirements for additional weapons and military equipment. He expressed gratitude to the government, king, and people of Sweden for their steadfast support. This support includes the 15th military aid package Stockholm recently announced for Ukraine, which is expected to include modern air defense systems, long-range strike capabilities, and ammunition supplies. Additionally, Sweden continues to actively participate in several multilateral initiatives aimed at strengthening Ukraine's defense sector. These programs cover areas such as the development of the Ukrainian Air Force and Navy, drone technology, armored vehicles, demining operations, and military IT. Syrskyi noted that cooperation between Ukraine and its NATO partners is helping to shape a new security framework for Europe and expressed optimism that Kyiv and its allies will prevail. Russia has not publicly released its battlefield loss reports during its 2-year-long invasion of Ukraine. However, some Western and analyst estimates suggest that as of early 2024, Russia had suffered a total of around 300,000 to 350,000 casualties, including soldiers killed, wounded, or missing since the full-scale invasion began in February 2022. Of that total, analysts estimate that about 100,000 to 120,000 Russian soldiers have been killed, with the remainder wounded or otherwise out of action. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Friday that the U.S. decision to allow the purchase of Russian oil currently stranded at sea will help stabilize global energy markets. According to the Associated Press, Peskov told reporters the world is facing a growing energy crisis, noting that it is impossible to stabilize the market without large volumes of oil from Russia. In a separate development, Peskov said the date and venue for the next round of trilateral talks among Russia, Ukraine, and the United States have not yet been set. He reaffirmed praise for U.S. efforts to help mediate an agreement. "We see the actions of the United States as an attempt to stabilize the energy market. In this respect, our interests coincide." We have heard statements from U.S. representatives that this exception was indeed made for oil that had already been loaded before March 12th. However, there have also been statements that, in general, the U.S. does not plan to lift any further oil sanctions against the Russian Federation. "We truly believe that the situation risks escalating the global energy crisis, and of course, such actions will, to some extent, contribute to stabilizing this market, as it's impossible to stabilize the market without a significant volume of oil from Russia. We continue to appreciate the readiness of the United States to provide mediation services to find a peaceful resolution to the crisis in Ukraine. Therefore, we hope that another round of talks will take place, but for now, we have nothing to announce regarding specific agreements on the date and time of that meeting." A Russian court on Thursday sentenced 19 people in connection with the deadly 2024 mass shooting at a Moscow concert hall that killed 149 people and injured over 600, one of the deadliest attacks in the capital in years. According to the Associated Press, an affiliate of the Islamic State group claimed responsibility for the March 22, 2024 massacre at the Crocus City Hall concert venue, where 4 gunmen shot at people waiting for a popular rock band to perform before setting the building on fire. All 19 defendants received lengthy prison sentences. 15 were sentenced to life in prison, one received a 22-5-year sentence, and 3 others each received 19-year, 11-month sentences. The trial began in August 2025 in a military court, as is standard for terrorism charges, and was held behind closed doors for what authorities cited as security concerns. President Vladimir Putin and other Russian officials have claimed, without evidence, that Ukraine had a role in the attack. Kyiv has vehemently denied any involvement. The Investigative Committee, Russia's top criminal investigation agency, stated the attack was planned and carried out in the interests of the current Ukrainian leadership to destabilize the political situation in Russia. The agency also noted that the 4 suspected gunmen tried to flee to Ukraine afterward. All 4, identified as citizens of Tajikistan, were arrested hours after the attack and later appeared in a Moscow court with signs of having been severely beat. According to the independent Russian news outlet Mediazona, those tried alongside them included 3 men who sold the suspects a car, a man who rented them an apartment, and 10 others accused of having terrorist links. Judges Vladimirov and Peshkov, with the participation of associate judges Stepanova, Groznik, Khajiva. For Saidakrami Murodali Rachabali Zoda, born September 17, 1998, in the city of Gisar, Republic of Tajikistan, a citizen of the Republic of Tajikistan, and Magomadova Nazakha Polyanskaya Khabarova, Boldireva, Volgasheva, Pustotyana, Chukova, Zhirnikova, Smirnova, as the victims, respectively. Slepenkova, Tokareva, Kozlova, Kuleshova, Kuzminskaya, Lisavenko, Lutneva, Matvieva, Filipochkina, Almukamatova, Belus, Spirina, Pomorina. Registered at the address, Republic of Tajikistan, City of Gisar, Almosi Village Council, Loyal Village. Mirzoev, married, with minor children in his care, currently unemployed, no prior convictions, with temporary registration.